Hello everyone, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. It is kit building time once again. The months seem to be zooming by recently, and it's hard to believe that we're back to this point again. But here we are. Our kit hostess over at the Counterfeit Kit Challenge chose an inspiration piece for us this month from a Cherry on Top Crafts. I will link you up to the website as well as to this particular kit. Their kits are called the Cherry Box, and they come out on a regular basis filled with paper crafty goodies. And we are being inspired by the August 2022 kit, and we're going to take more looks at what is inside this kit. If you want to see detailed look at what is inside our inspiration kit, there is a YouTube video here posted by a Cherry on Top, which takes you step by step through all the pieces. But I'm going to take you through the photo version. Here is an overview of the kit, and the first thing that you'll probably notice is a very calm color palette. Now there is some pops of yellow and green, but notice how neutral the rest of the color palette is. Now I like more color than that, so I am definitely going to pick up on what color there is in this kit. You see some pinks, some yellows, some greens, and later on we'll talk about some blues. So let's keep going. One of the first elements in this kit is a fabric kind of washi style tape, and I should note that all of the elements in this kit are 49 and Market branded elements, and there's a close-up of that tape. So a fabric washi style tape is in here. Not sure where I'm going to go with that just yet. There are these washi element stickers as a part of this. Again, not quite sure. I don't have anything like this in my stash. Maybe I'll find some rub-ons. Maybe I'll find some stickers. Maybe I'll just incorporate more stamps. I don't know yet. There we go. Also are these kind of enamel style stickers, which they call bubbles and trinkets. And they do have a tiny bit of dimension and definitely a gloss to them. And this is where I was talking about possibly having some blue. Now this is kind of a gray color, but it has a hint of blue in it, or a hint of green even if you see it that way. So I might pick up some of the hint of color in here and pull that farther forward in my kit. Here is the close-up, and you can see this has kind of a yellow or even kind of a green undertone, which you can pull out of. So I'm really stretching my ideas of color here. There were some chipboard elements in here, and we're getting a little bit more color with a very hint of pink. And I'm starting to look at icons as well. We've got keys, butterflies, frames. So I want to pick up on stuff like that as well. There is a bigger view of that. Now, included in the kit was a stamp set, and there were options, 3 options. I only found 2 of them listed on their website, so this one and this one were options. I actually like this one better, so I'm going to pick up on the imagery in this one, either with embellishments themselves or with stamps. We'll see where I go with that. There was an ink pad, just one ink pad. I know this is a set of 4, but there's just one ink pad included in the kit for that vintagey distressing element that's part of the kit. So I want to pick up on some ink. And speaking of vintagey distressing, these are the pattern papers. I think the kit only included 4 pattern papers. I'm not quite sure, but it wasn't very many. So I'm going to add more pattern paper to my collection. I'm also going to pick up on these kind of mixed media vibes. And here is another spot where there is more blue, and we've got hints of yellow and greens, of course, along with our neutrals. So I am definitely wanting to pick up on the mixed media and more of that color once again. There's a closer look at the papers. Included with the pattern papers, now this was the pad that they sell. In the kit, you only get a selection of these papers. But in this pad and in the kit were these laser cut pieces, which are just cardstock laser cut pieces. And they include elements like, greenery, butterfly, and here is some more color, some peachy color that we can pick up from. I also like the texture of this kind of lacy pieces, so I know I could go with doilies, or I do have some lacy fabric tape in my stash, which I could pull from. I'm also picking up on these elements remind me kind of flare badges. I know Pink Fresh Studio makes some kind of cardstock style flare badges, which I own and could pull from. I do have some actual flare badges, which I might want to draw from as well. So those are options. And then more frames, more kind of flare badges, more icons with the butterflies and flowers and lace. And the final picture is, oh, cardstock. The original kit, if we come back over here, had a couple of pieces of cardstock included as well. Okay, I think that's enough of talking about the inspiration. Let me go ahead and take those ideas and pull them together into an actual kit. For my kit build, the first thing I did was to think about what 49 and Market products I already own. And I do have a few things, including this brand new paper pad, brand new to me paper pad, with this more colorful mixed media vintage vibe. So that is where I'm starting this kit. And what I did is I actually pulled the papers from here that had a more neutral overall feel with more just kind of hints of color to them to kind of stay true to what the inspiration kit was doing. So with those picked out, and I set aside the embellishment like cut apart sheet, but I'm not going to end up using that. And we'll see what happens later. And then these other few pieces here are also 49th and Market that were just tucked away in other parts of my kit. And I chose a couple of those. And then I wanted these neutral florals because that was the idea of some of the inspiration. And I just chose one of those. And then I pulled out some more of that nature vibe papers. A lot of that is let's see, simple stories. That's what I'm looking for. A lot of it's simple stories. Now, I said I was going to pick up on certain other colors like the yellow and the peach and the blues and greens. And so that is what you're seeing in the choices here. I am eliminating some of these papers as we go, either because they're both doing kind of the same job in terms of the kit, like they're both blue and they're both medium-sized prints or so on and so forth like that. So I do eliminate some things and I set them off to the side. And then I'm looking at this piece here, and it's got some purples in it, which so far, those are the only pieces that had purples. So I did pull those out of the kit, and I'm kind of left with these 11 sheets of paper. And then this happens. As I was pulling out embellishments, I was a little bit of a madwoman here. I really did not know where I wanted to go with anything, and so I pulled too much stuff. And here I'm trying to get my thought process under control by creating categories. And I started with those punches because I knew I wanted to have those in there. And you can see the pieces that inspired me popping up on the screen. So I pulled out some doilies, like I mentioned earlier, and then with this stamp set, I did have some ribbon that had a ruler to it. I pulled out way too much ribbon, but I did find that ribbon that I mentioned, which is a lacy kind of adhesive ribbon. And I did pull other ribbons, which I will end up eliminating. But now here, for that fabric washi tape, I pulled out felt. Now, that doesn't seem like an obvious choice, but I wanted to get some of that fabricy texture in there with ease. And using felt with some dyes is going to be something simple to do with a fabric texture. And then I turned to my stamps. I had pulled a whole bunch, but then I realized that this stamp set was in my SCT sampler kit this past month, and it was perfect for this. And then one more stamp set that incorporated the camera imagery, and that finishes up my stamps. Here I pulled out some pieces that I had previously made in another CKC kit, as well as a whole bunch of wood veneer pieces. And that gives me a lot of that neutral nature vibe that's in this kit. And then I pulled out some word stickers based on the inspiration. I thought I was going to do a forgery of those words with some Nuvo drops, but I changed my mind. So I set the Nuvo drops aside and I started looking at those frames, but I wasn't sure. So I moved on to these brad pieces, which reminded me of some of the stickers in there. So I'm going to keep those. And then those were little butterfly embellishments from Stampin' Up. And I've got some more brads here. So I mostly think I'm going to keep some of that, but that brad collection is too big. So I'll likely just put it back in my stash and pull from it as we go. And then I think I pulled out almost every single pack of die cuts and stickers that I own. So That was not going to work for sure. I had to pull these out and sort through them and look at each piece and ponder and wonder, and I'm not going to make you sit through all of that. So I fast forwarded this quite a bit as I was eliminating a lot of these pieces. And in some cases, like I just wanted certain sections of the embellishments. And so it looks like a lot of stuff, but in the end, you'll see me organize it better so that it's not quite as much. So I'm pulling back in the things that I had set off to the left side that I knew I was going to keep. And that pile there on the top left corner were maybes. And once I saw how big my stash was, I just took all those maybes and put them in the no pile because I just had too much stuff here. And now I'm pulling in even more stuff that wasn't even the stickers and such. So you can see my kit is still quite big. So it was time for round 2 of eliminations. So I eliminated some of the fibers, I eliminated some of the stickers, but also what I did here was I compacted. So like, for example, these butterflies, I knew I was only going to use that one color strip. So I just cut those out and stored the rest away. With these stickers, I just cut off the section that I was sure I was going or was more likely to use for pops of color. And so compacting my kit down in that way helped it feel less overwhelming and more manageable. And again, here's where I'm going to set those brads, that orange package of brads, back in my stash, again, to make my kit feel more manageable. And because I do have brads in my kit, that will remind me that if I want more brads, they are there in my craft room. So that completes my kit for this month. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the items that I kept in my kit, starting with the pattern papers that have a more neutral vibe with pops of color that I can use to add in to projects, and then a whole stash of embellishments that I can use for lots of layering where I would normally use pattern papers instead. I'm going to work with embellishments. All right, I hope watching my messy process of getting through this kit build reassures you that even those of us with kit building experience struggle with this process sometimes, so don't worry about it. Just go to your stash, pull some things you like, put a kit together, and join us over at the CKC group. It is a lot of fun, and we are very nice and supportive over there. I will be back in the future with more crafty goodness for you. Until then, have an artful day.